What's up everybody, my name is Big Cam. Welcome back to another Comically Boston breakdown episode, and today we are talking about Creature Commandos episode 5 titled The Iron Pot. In this episode is a little bit more of Frankenstein's backstory, right? We've gotten the bride, we've gotten G.I. Robot, we've now gotten Weasel. Now we're getting a little bit more into Frankenstein's backstory. And the iron pot of it all, James Gunn, you little bastard. By the end of the episode, I was like, why is it called the Iron Pot? And then, of course, the last scene in the episode, you're like, oh, that's why it's called the Iron Pot. And you're just like, oh, James Gunn. But coming off Weasel's episode, Chasing Squirrels, I just thought it was the saddest ending line where Nina's like, oh, what do you think he's dreaming of? And Bride's just like, probably chasing squirrels, but really he's having nightmares about his past and shit. Oh, poor Weasel. But we pick up this episode on the Professor McPherson that Waller called for help with Cersei in one of the last episodes. And Flag and Frankenstein see that she is teaching a class on Themyscira, but seems a little bit off because she's like, we need to talk about the lesbians. And it's like, I don't know if that's what a professor would be talking about. And even Frankenstein's like, that doesn't seem very professional. David Harbour in this episode, and just the way he voices the character of Frankenstein is so funny. Like, I cannot wait to see David Harbour as Frankenstein with Frank Grillo in a live action project bouncing off of each other, because it's going to be so funny. But at first you're like, why is this teacher talking about lesbians and acting weird? And we find out later in the episode that this is actually Clayface impersonating the McPherson professor. But Flag and Frankenstein go to investigate her further back at her house, but the intro of the episode happens with the and it cuts between the different characters. It's actually a pretty good intro. Not my favorite, of course, Peacemaker's my favorite James Gunn intro, but this is a pretty good one. But we cut over to Bride, Phosphorus, Weasel, and Nina meeting with Alexei because they got orders at the end of last episode to go kill the princess. And that's why Flag and Frankenstein are investigating further, because he doesn't want to kill the princess because Rick slept with the princess, so now he's got feelings. Frankenstein's helping him out of the name of love. So when they land back in Pokolistan, Alexei, her right-hand man, her head of security, if you would, I don't know what his job title is, but Alexei picks them up, and he had been cool the last couple episodes, but this time it's like, uh-oh, we know as an audience that the Creature Commandos are there to kill his princess, and he's just like, you're back so soon, what a good time to see you guys. But as this is happening, we start to see a little bit more of Frankenstein's backstory, and we see a little bit more from his perspective, the night that he killed his father, the Dr. Frankenstein. The bride set him on fire and went on that great montage running away from him sequence. We see what it's like from his perspective, right? Because we saw what it was like from her perspective, hundreds of years passing as she's running away from this guy. In his mind, he has gone through some things too in that amount of time, but he's never forgotten about the bride. He's just all love for the bride, just wants to get to his bride, and that's the only thing driving him forward at all times. But the night he had gotten set on fire, we see that he put himself out in a river, and a dog and a blind old gypsy woman find him and starts to care for him and puts healing shit on him. And he's like, what is this shit you're putting on me? And she's like, oh, it is ancient stuff from my family's culture and different herbs and stuff like that. It has healing properties. And he's like, gypsy shit? She goes, yes, gypsy shit. So she rubs gypsy healing shit on him, and he starts to heal. Frankenstein says if he was blind, he would kill himself because the beauty of his bride is the only thing that's keeping him going. And she goes and shows him that she sees the beauty of her imagination every day. She doesn't need to see with her eyes to see beauty. And she proves this to him by going, close your eyes, imagine your bride. Now that is beauty, and this is not with your eyes, now is it? He goes, no, I guess not. So this little gypsy old woman is teaching Frankenstein a bit about life and love and vision, and, you know, like, she's just a nice old lady and blind and helping him, like, ugh. But we cut back to present day, and Flag and Frankenstein break into the professor's house, and Flag finds blood and the real Professor McPherson killed upstairs in her room. And he immediately calls Illyana to warn her and say that, hey, like, the Commandos got told to come kill you. Something's going on with the Professor. He's like, something's wrong here. And he's correct. Because at the same exact time, the fake Professor gets home and walks in. And at this moment, when you're initially watching it, you probably have assumptions that this is Clayface or something. But you're like, wait, who is this Professor? Because it's not the real one. Unless you saw the trailers in the previous week knowing that Clayface was coming. I don't know. Maybe you were surprised and didn't expect Clayface to be here. I figured, shapeshifter, someone that's, the DC doesn't really have scrolls as far as I'm concerned, like in the MCU. So the closest thing they got is Clayface. Now, I'm more of a fan of Alan Tudyk's Clayface from Harley Quinn show. I am an actor. He's so goofy and funny. But this Clayface actually seems like he's kind of badass. But upstairs, right as he's walking in, Frankenstein and Rick are upstairs, and Rick's like, hide! Frankenstein, like, steps behind a lamp. He goes, do you really think you're hidden right now? He goes, oh, come on, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, or, I don't give a shit. And he's like, hide, would you? And he hides like a big baby, goes and lays down next to the bed, and Rick's just like, oh. But so Frankenstein hides, and they cut back to the past, and we see Frankenstein has made a bit of a family here with Ivan the dog and Bogdana, the old gypsy woman. And, he's starting to get along with him, and he's got he's coming back from a hunting trip. He's like, this is good. Anything I point this gun at, I kill. And she's like, yes. Ivan and I really love your company. And she's like, even if you are a bit of a grunch, and he's like, don't test me, woman. I still have this shotgun in my hand. He's so dry, but just the way that David Harbour's lines come pouring out of his mouth as Frankenstein is so good. I really, really got to see him in live action. So we cut back to present day, and we find out that Clayface is the Professor, and he's playing video games on the couch, and Flag and Frankenstein have to sneak by him. And at the same exact time, Alexei finds out from Illyana that the Commandos are there to kill her, so he starts to stall this crew of Commandos. And as he's stalling the crew of the Commandos, the bride starts to figure it out. Phosphorus kind of figures it out, and he goes, God damn it, and punches through the guy's frickin' head. Like, just punches through Alexei's head and goes, I liked him. Like, then why'd you punch through his face? Like, come on, Phosphorus. But yeah, so Alexei's gone. Phosphorus and the bride and all of them pour out of the tank and start killing people, and the bride kills a bunch of people. Phosphorus, fuck yous, double bird, fuck yous, straight through a tank and just demolishes all the people in the tank, walks through the tank, burns the tank up, right? Like, Jesus Christ. Phosphorus is slowly becoming one of those characters where I'm like, God, he's terrifying, but he's also so funny that I need him. But it's like, damn, you can't kill him, and he just has his fire skin. He just takes off his jacket and walks directly through a tank. Like, Jesus Christ. And the bride is a hell of a killer as well, because she starts killing people, and then she steals 2 laser gauntlets and starts blasting with the laser gauntlets. That's kind of dope to see. She's a beast. Clayface beats the ever-living hell out of Rick Flag and Frankenstein. Rick Flag gets the worst of it though. Rick Flag gets held up over the head, busted over, like his back busted over Clayface's knee. The design of Clayface with the yellow eyes and just like the teeth, he does look pretty good considering. And poor Flag here, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Rick Flag took a beating and a half. But it comes down to it, and Flag's on the ground all fucked up, and Frankenstein is still kind of chugging forward, sees how he might be able to beat him. But Clayface is trying to consume him, but he gets to the electrical outlet, grabs it, and electrocutes Clayface to seemingly death. So maybe Clayface is dead, maybe he's just formed into clay on the ground. I don't know if he'll be able to come back from that electrocution or not, but it does seem like Rick Flag was beaten pretty much to death, and it seems like he's about to die. So, as Frankenstein kills Clayface, though, we cut to Phosphorus stepping through a soldier's face, like one of the guys that he walked through the tank, and he's like clearly half of a man. He's crawling. Please, don't do it. And Phosphorus just steps through his face and melts his face. Oh, and they show like the aftermath of it. Jesus Christ. But police and the soldiers are out looking for now these commandos. So Phosphorus is, you know, walking away, hiding. Weasel's on the loose, hiding. Nina is hiding, and the bride's trying to look and find them. And then Frankenstein has Rick in his arms, and Rick's on his deathbed, and he's asking him questions about himself. He's like, come on, Flag, don't die. And he's like kind of sad about Flag, his new friend, but he's also asking for questions about himself. He's like, did the bride ever mention me? You know, and Flag's like, right before he seemingly dies, you know, touches his face, he's like, you gotta tell the bride the truth, and then just kind of like passes out, dies, and you're like, wait, what? Flag just died right here? There's no way. And he can't have died, but he's a human, and he took hell of a beating, so either he takes a long time to recover from this, or he gets some type of super soldier serum, and he heals faster after this. I don't know, but a normal human seemed like he would be dead after this, right? Like, I don't know. But to end this episode, we get one last Frankenstein memory that just to remind us that he is a monster. And he goes in, we see that the old gypsy woman Bogdana is very sad that he's leaving to go find his bride. It says that she doesn't really love him and that she doesn't want to be alone. And he's like, don't worry, Bogdana, I would never leave you alone. And kills the old woman with an iron pot. The title of the episode, The Iron Pot. And I was like, oh my god, James Gunn. I was like this whole time looking for an iron pot. All of a sudden he's like going around and he's picking up heavy objects trying to figure out what would kill her. And finally gets to the heavy pot and goes, okay. And smashes her head, leaves the dog outside, right? She's like, why is Ivan at the door? Why didn't you let him in? He's like, because I don't think he would like what I'm going to do next. So instead of leaving her alone because Frankenstein has to leave, he thinks it's better to kill Bogdana. She's blind and old. I mean, is it the worst thing he could have done? Yes. Yes, it is. Fuck, Frankenstein, you kill the old woman that was helping you back to life, and then just kind of shuts the door and walks away, and you're just like, what? He just killed this woman? And then we cut real quick to Ileana and one of her men telling her what's happened, and she says, we must find the Commandos and kill them all. So now Ileana is set against the Commandos, which is bad. Because maybe this is leading towards that she's going to kill them all type of future that Cersei showed Waller last episode, right? Or 2 episodes ago, whatever it was. But this episode ends with Ivan the dog who was scratching at the door. Frankenstein walks out and he kind of sniffs at the door like, I can smell that something bad happened on the other side of that door. But Frankenstein just kind of whistles to him. And the dog smiles thinking that they're about to go off hunting. And him and the dog run off into the distance. And credits roll. Oh. What? So Frankenstein killed this old woman, and then took her gun, took her dog, walked off into the distance, but now it's right, like that was the past. Now we're into the present day. What happened to poor Ivan the dog? I mean, I hope he died of old age, but fuck, Frankenstein, how are you gonna do this? But yeah, that's where the credits roll. So that's episode 5, and episode 6 next week seems like it's going to be Phosphorus's background episode, and I believe it's that's episode 6 out of 7 total. So I'm not sure where this season's going to end. If we get Phosphorus's background, and then maybe we get Flag's background in episode 7, and that's kind of the whole team, and then we go from there. I did also hear a rumor recently that season 2 was green-lit by DC, which I mean is just James Gunn green-lighting his own project again. But you know, if this show is really getting success, and he said it's getting more viewership week after week, which means word of mouth is growing it, which is cool. So you know, stuff like me making videos on this channel is bringing people to watch the show that I'm also loving, and I'm hoping you'll love it too. So comment below your thoughts on Creature Commandos through episode 5. Are you excited for Phosphorus's episode next week? I know I am. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. If you'd like to support the channel, the best way to do that is commenting below, smashing that like button, subscribing if you're new. Make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss future videos and you get the notifications. My name's Bigg. If you want to follow my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace.